my God. I've never done this before. The only time I've spoken in front of a group of people was either at work meetings or in front of my team. So I'd first of all like to say a massive thank you to George and Minnie for creating this platform because I think we need more of these. Sorry. I think we need more of these platforms, encourage more of these conversations because when I started out in my career, I would have liked to be a part of something like this. And thank you, Shweta and Tanvi, for an incredible community like Sisters in Sweat. So let's just take a second to give them a round of applause, guys. Okay, I'm just going to get straight to it. In 2024, I was playing the best football that I was ever playing. I was captaining my club team. I was starting regularly. We were winning consistently every single game. We were on an unbeaten streak. And everything felt so perfect. And it was not just for me as a player. It was also for me as a person, both on and off the field, because the place I was working in it still is, it's fantastic. And then this happened. So that's me, by the way, in the blue studs. I'm just going to get the ball. And yeah, let's just stop right there. I kind of just tripped on the ball, right? It's not a big deal. But I ended up fracturing my fibula. Bang in the middle of one of the most incredible seasons I was playing in. And I would have at least liked to go out on a dramatic tackle or a heroic moment, but I freaking tripped on the ball. And I remember lying there when my physio was attending to me thinking, oh my God, this cannot be how I go out of this season. And this cannot be how a great chapter ends. And then, obviously, this was 2024. Now, cut to January 2026, this happened. So I was back to running, I was back to playing, and I did something that 15-year-old me wanted to do, wear the blue. So now, it's two completely different images, videos, but what sits in between the journey of this is not really a comeback highlight. I'm not here to make a reel. I'm really bad at making reels, by the way. But it's not something that I thought would happen to me. It's a season of doubt, of rebuilding, of all of the quiet work, because we usually celebrate the comeback stories, but we rarely sit with the comeback process. So thank you guys for making an opportunity about that, because not all progress looks like a win. Okay, now, when I was 15 years old, I was on a summer vacation with my cousins and my family in Sikkim, Gangtok. And I saw this beautiful football court. Oh my God, it was fantastic, like right out of the place that we were staying in. I saw that ground and I immediately thought to myself, I want to play there one day. And I want to play there in front of fans. That dream didn't really start at an academy or any other organized training facility. It just started at a young girl looking at a football pitch with wonder and thinking, damn, I want to do that. And what continued that dream was moments where I just opened YouTube, saw a couple of drills, and just wanted to repeat them. And I just wanted to, initially I did that just to impress a couple of people in my class, just so I could nutmeg them. Nutmeg, for people who don't know, is when you put the ball through someone's feet. And it's so cool when that happens, right? So that's where the dream started. I continued playing for my school team. I didn't choose to be a defender. I started off one. I only did that because my team wanted one. I always wanted to be a midfielder, by the way, which I ended up becoming later on. And then it also continued again when I was pushed into pursuing an academically heavy degree like engineering, just because I was told that it was the safer option. Now, around the time when people fall out on their childhood dreams and pursue realistic careers, mine continued with playing in a 2 p.m. Chennai heat in the months of April and May. And if anyone's been in Chennai in the months of April and May, it is horrendous. It is grueling, and you will question everything about your life choices just even stepping out at that point. But sadly, there were no other options to continue playing, to pursue a dream that 15-year-old me thought of. And just something in me wasn't ready to let go, because even in a highly patriarchal engineering college where most preferences for anything sport related are given to men, I switched to basketball because I thought, okay, I got to play something. I can't not play anything. And in that very year, I saw myself, this was the third year of college, I saw myself in a room full of boys. I was the only girl, and we were all trying out to be a part of the interview for getting selected as the sports secretary of college. There were 20 guys. I walk in, and man, you know what engineering energy is like for boys, right? So I walk in, it's a room full of 25 boys, and I was the only girl. Everyone's looking at me like I was in the wrong room. One guy even told me, hey, like the cultural secretary's interviews are in the other room. And sucks to be them because I got it. So it was smaller moments where I have seen people questioning me questioning myself, but somewhere along the way, somebody looked at me and said, hey, maybe this girl deserves a chance. And those are the moments that continued my dream. Because none of these looked like they were making massive progress. When I had that conversation with the boy saying, no, 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 I'm going to be here, something in me did shift because I was questioned for being there. I didn't get any award or anything for it because, I mean, at the end of the day, I was just there for the same thing that he was there for. But it built adaptability, and it built that little bit of extra resilience that pushes me out of bed at 5 a.m. in the morning these days. Now, then I moved to Bangalore. This decision was not glamorous. I keep telling people I took a leap of faith after engineering. I wanted to try out something new, but I have never told anyone that when I made that decision, I cried for 3 days straight because I was so scared of moving to a new city. I was so scared of not having any friends and not knowing what to do in a new space because I've been at my parents' place my whole life. And beneath all of those quote-unquote fancy words like leap of faith, there was always a hum of fear in everything that I did. There was that constant itch, like, oh my God, you might fail. Oh my God, like, what if they judge you? What if they think you're not good enough? What if you're just going to fuck up at some point? Sorry for the explicitives. But it was uncertainty. I clearly left the familiarity of what I'd studied. I took up an internship at Decathlon. I started working with Tanvi and Shweta and Sisters in Sweat. And I also ended up trying out for my first club team. So for the first time in a long time, football didn't just feel like a passion. It felt like a genuine possibility. And while I was building a career in sport management, I was still chasing that on-field action. And in 2022, I had the opportunity to work on a collaboration on a project with Manchester City, which now in retrospect, that would have made 15-year-old me squeal for like 3 days straight. But what most people actually don't know is that on that same year, I missed out on playing the Indian Women's League, just purely because of scheduling tightness, right? But I didn't regret it, because at that point, progress didn't look like choosing the most obvious win. For me, it looked like building that range for myself. And I didn't really receive any applause for it or get an award for it. I just received the quiet satisfaction of my own inner voice saying, you did the right thing. And clearly, sometimes progress is investing in what your future self might thank you for rather than your current ego that wants to go out there and prove something out to the world just because you decided that, okay, you'd play football. Now, that actually taught me that I'm not just a footballer. I'm someone who also wants to build in sport. And that shift in thought mattered so much because it was a shift in my mentality and an outlook that no one really saw me having, but this mentality saved me for every single upcoming year after. Because when the injury came, I wasn't empty. I had other things to do. Now, breaking a bone is physically 100% painful. But of course, what no one really prepares you for is that mental pain, is that little bit of going away from the sport maybe takes away 90% of your potential compared to the other players in your team, especially with high performance, right? Because you try to sprint again and then you hesitate. You make the same pass, it gets intercepted. And for the first time ever, your body doesn't really respond the same way that it did. And here's an uncomfortable thing I actually had to confront more than all of these internal factors. It's hard to stay in women's football in India. We don't have year-round leagues, and we don't have contracts that guarantee stability. We train in time slots that are leftovers. We end up fighting for physio access most of the time. We don't really travel in elite infrastructure. And sometimes, despite doing all of this, we're told to just be grateful to be there. And beyond this, when people say, why don't you just move on? They don't always see the larger picture. Now, choosing to stay in women's football for anyone in India, it's not passive. It is a very active, conscious decision that every single hardworking stakeholder of the sport takes, every single season. Because they bring that insane passion towards the sport that keeps us crazies here. Because for most of us, progress actually doesn't look like sponsorships, glamorous deals, or packed stadiums. Sometimes it looks like going from a lack of access of medical support, like any kind of medical support, to getting your first medical insurance for the season. Traveling in unreserved compartments to taking your first flight with the national team or even your state team. Training and playing matches without any cameras, without any media team, to getting that one webcast that is for free for all on YouTube. And also working full-time jobs and showing up every single day to practice at 6 in the morning. And in the most recent case of Indian football, making it to the AFC championships and not having the right kits. So here we say, staying is progress. The fact that so many girls decide to stay, decide to do what pushes them forward, pushes the system forward, even if it's just one small inch at a time, that is progress. So in that same context, my injury wasn't just physical, it was existential. Because when the system is already fragile, stepping away even for a moment feels like you're disappearing. There were nights I cried myself to sleep, not because I was in pain, but it was more so because I was scared. Scared that the voices around me would become my internal voices. And scared that the voices around me were right. Because around that time, I was advised by more people than I can count that it's time for me to become a support staff. It's time for me to maybe take up coaching and maybe stop the on-field stuff and focus more on being a sport manager or a coach, because I was constantly told that I'd be better at that. I don't know what they mean by better, honestly. And what was actually dangerous for me and the path that I was stepping into was the fact that those external voices started to become internal. And I doubted myself. So I actually asked myself this one question, which I had never thought of asking before. Did I love football because I was good at it or what it gave me? Or did I love it purely for the sport itself? And that question stripped me down naked. Because when performance is removed, your identity is what remains. Now, we live in a time where progress is curated, right? You see a massive national team selection post. You see a silver medal. You see a trophy. You see a gold medal. You see a massive transformation picture of somebody trying to lose weight. You see, I am proud to announce ... caption. But you don't see that physio table that somebody spent hours in. You don't see the thousands of needles that they took to their body. You don't really see the 11 p.m. breakdown that only few people were privy to. And the struggle to fall asleep day in, day out as these doomsday thoughts start flooding your brain. But I've noticed that even when struggle or progress, for that matter, is posted online, I think it's still a bit curated because You add a fun music to it. You add an emotional jingle to it. You add something that people relate to it. It, quote unquote, maybe gives them emotion, but I don't think the feeling is the same. Because real struggle isn't aesthetic. It's more of a day-to-day, hour-to-hour questioning of, I don't know if I can do this anymore, and still going and showing up the next day. So progress doesn't look powerful. It just sometimes looks like quiet discipline. Just consistently waking up every morning, even though you don't want to. Because yesterday I asked my team something. I'm sure most of you can relate as well that if you've made a commitment, let's say to wake up at 5:30 in the morning for your own workout, no one's pushing you. It's a quiet self-commitment. You do it for one day, you do it for 2 days. And then the third day, you wake up at 5:30, the alarm rings, and then you just lie there in bed questioning every single thing that you thought of. You think about why you made this promise to yourself. You think about what an idiot you are for deciding to do that. And then, 5:35, you get up. Something happens in those 5 minutes. Something very quiet that no one talks about. That quiet resilience is what has brought me through 2 seasons of agony. And I see every single day women in my life going through every single day. So, during this time, someone I love introduced a small ritual in my life. So every night, no matter what happened during the day, I had to say one thing that I was grateful for. And I was so pissed because on some days I just wanted to throw a pillow at someone, throw a rock, smash a couple of things. I honestly wish rage rooms were more accessible, man. And there were days I hated everything. But somehow, somewhere through those conversations, she helped me find something to say every single day, something small. And that practice changed me more than any medal, any recognition, any promotion has ever shifted in my mentality. Now, I play football. Futsal was never part of the plan. I didn't even know futsal as a team existed or as a sport. It was something that I could pursue. I just played it for fun sometimes. And I found out about the trials for the national team just 2 days before it actually happened. And I didn't even own futsal shoes. But this time I made a decision. I told myself that I wouldn't do this to prove anything to anyone. Ironic, given that it's a selection. I mean, you're going to prove yourself, bro. What's going on? But I still persevered, and I told myself, okay, you've kind of tried to prove something to someone, maybe yourself, maybe people around you, your whole life. Just for once, just for futsal, play for fun. Just have fun. Just go out there, enjoy every moment of it, enjoy every pass. And I told myself that I would truly enjoy it. I told myself to think about that little girl who was kicking the ball on the concrete growing up. Just her, the ball, and the concrete, and a small wall. And that changed everything. Because something inside me, in the way that I perceived high performance, shifted. For the first time ever, I found a flow state after I don't even know how long, of trying to play club football. And for the first time ever in my career, I stopped obsessing over perfection. I stopped analyzing and started flowing. And after 2 months of selections, camps, when I finally wore the India jersey, it was validation, yes, but it was also proof of patience. It was also proof that staying matters, persisting matters, and waking yourself up for those 5 minutes between 5:30 and 5:35 matters a lot. Also, can I just have a show of hands of how many Marvel fans are in this room? Awesome. So, if you're a Marvel fan, you know what the multiverse is. Now, you know that every decision that you take creates a branch in reality. In another universe, maybe I quit after my injury. In another, maybe I became a support staff. I listened to those voices. And in another, maybe I just stuck to engineering because I was comfortable with it. But in this universe, I stayed. Not perfectly, not confidently, but consistently. And that's what I've learned. Not all progress looks like a win. Sometimes it just looks like survival. Get through this day, get through the next day. Sometimes it looks like starting over. Sometimes it just looks like no one noticing and you doing all the hard work. And sometimes it's these quiet seasons that shape you the most. So, not all progress looks like a win, but every real win is built on progress no one saw. Thank you.